Hello and welcome to the presentation, How to Prep for Sub Life. My name is Andrea and I will be presenting this session. I've been a teacher for 15 years. Last year I decided to take a year of just subbing as I hadn't done that prior to teaching. My name is Andrea and I have been a teacher for 15 years. Last year I decided to sub full-time just because I needed a change of what I had been doing in the past. I taught junior high for all those years and I just was looking for a change and wasn't sure where to go. So I decided to sub and I learned a lot in that 1 year and I am passing on that knowledge to fellow substitutes that I learned what I learned. I also present at sessions for teachers' conventions or just through schools and stuff with the ATA. So I love putting knowledge and working with other educators to see what they are up to. Let's be honest, subbing isn't easy, but there are some steps that you can take to prep yourself to make life for yourself as a sub so much easier. First of all, get organized with some ideas. Do some research and learn about the various curriculums that we have and some ideas of what is happening. So I'm not telling you to go out there and know every curriculum inside and out, but just have a general knowledge, especially with like ELA and math, about what those curriculums are about and what the concepts are that they are learning. Because if you can do a little bit of research on that, then you could have some work with you or have some knowledge prior to going into the classroom about what they might potentially be working on when you walk in there. Create some resources. Great Sub will put in a work like any other teacher does. So what I did in my year that I had was subbing was if I was in a classroom, I actually would make a photocopy of some of the resources that teachers had or worksheets or send myself a copy because then I had those in my back pocket if I taught that grade again or if I needed something to just sub for a day without if I needed extra materials with me. So therefore, I started creating two binders. I had one binder that was very much like theme based. So I grabbed some Halloween resources or Christmas or Hanukkah or Easter or anything that would be those kinds of types of things. Fall, like if you're looking little Div 1, like fall resources and stuff like that. And I put them into a binder. And then I also had just general resources and had tabs from grades 1 to 12 and just had those in a binder as well. And if I knew I was subbing a certain grade on that day, I would take a few of those worksheets with me and just carry in a little binder in my bag so that if I needed to have them, I could have them and be prepped to have extra work without panicking of there not being enough work for the students to do. While looking through those resources as well, it also gave me knowledge of what I could expect for the day or what I could expect as to where the students what they may know, what they might not have known, where they're working towards. So therefore, it kind of gave me a sense of comfort of knowing what it is that I needed to know. So as I walked in the door to be prepped for subs, what I would do is always have some different language arts worksheets. So maybe have one for like a Div 1, a Div 2, Div 3, Div 4, kind of just general knowledge that you could find. I would also have some math worksheets, and they can also just be basic as like adding, subtracting, multiplication, and division, because it doesn't matter throughout any grades K to grade 12 everybody can use some refresher skills on those basic concepts. And I would just keep like mad minutes or just have one digit adding, subtracting, or multiplication, or two digit or three digit. So it's just reinforcing those skills that we're trying to have through consecutively through the years. I always had some coloring worksheets with me because if kids were done, students were finished, they would have a choice of different coloring sheets. And again, I had different ones from like really basic Paw Patrol, Christmas theme, Halloween themed, or whatever, Hello Kitty kind of thing, to like adult coloring sheets. Because if you were working in different grades, it didn't matter what grade you really had. You were prepped with them. And it's funny, even with junior high and high school students, they really will still love your basic coloring sheet. They tend to use them even more. So it just kind of is something to keep them busy so that they're not causing trouble for you. I always had some kind of storybook with me as well that I could read, like in an elementary school. And it's often quite funny how much junior high and high school kids would love to have a story read to them and stuff like that because they don't really get that time anymore and stuff like that. So it really was a great source to have for all students. If you're looking, you could have two different storybooks, one for kind of elementary, and there are a lot of great storybooks built for junior high and high school, especially with Indigenous cultures and stuff like that. They're great to have, and it's always something that is attached to any curriculum in any grade. Stickers are a great way to bribe kids as well, to get them to do things, to get them to have, to get them to do work for you, to reward them if it's a birthday you don't know, just simple things like that. And some easy no prep games. So just have some games in the back of your head or written down on a sheet or something that if you're looking to kill time, they're very easy. Again, I had some math games and some just like basic alphabet games. One I have is like depending on the grade we were on, um, depend on the hardness of the level of game. So it just was a very simple ABC game. So I had all the kids stand on their chairs. And so grade one, I did it. And I said, okay, you have to give me a word that starts with the letter A. And I would hold my hand up and they had 5 seconds and I would count down with this hand to give me a word that start with the letter A. And then I would tell the next kid, okay, if they didn't get it in the 5 seconds, they would sit down and they were out of the game. And then I would go to the next kid and I would say, if they got it, then I would say, okay, you have the letter B. And I would tell them. As the grades progressed and as it got harder, what I would do is say for grade six, I was use the same game, but I would say, Kate, we're starting at A and you need to pay attention as to where we are. I'm not reminding you what letter you are on. So again, I would give them a counter and I would just point to them. And if they didn't know where we are, it really gets them good attention. You kind of play it once, it goes by very quickly because the kids aren't paying attention, but then they catch on and it goes really well. Or another thing is just like as they're standing in line for recess, um, give me like same thing. Give me a word that starts with the letter A, or if you're doing a language class, like what's a French word that starts with the letter B and stuff like that. So it just is really easy, no prep. Same thing. You can do that standing one with like multiplications, or just have like a deck of cards with you and have a quick like, okay, what is 4 plus 2? And you have the cards with you and they have to tell you. And if they can't answer it within a certain time, they're out. Here are some great general websites to know that will help you get along a far way if you're ever in a struggle or in a bind of looking for resources. So, Teachers Pay Teachers is awesome. It has a lot of great resources on it. So what you do is you just go onto the website and then you can click in. So say if you're working on clouds for science. So you could type in clouds and you can look up different worksheets that are provided. And if you go on the left-hand side of that website, you can go and see, and there'll be a toggle and it'll say what grades you want, or it'll have a button that says free resources as well. So it's not even that you need to spend a lot of money on it. It just is a great resource with great things that teachers have put on there and are sharing their resources with us. So it's a great place to look. Raz Kids is an amazing reading website. Most schools that I have worked on, and I've worked for 3 different uh, school divisions. Sorry, I've worked for 3 different school divisions, and they've all the students always have access to it. So it reads. You can read to the computer. It can read to you. You can listen to it with headphones. And generally nowadays, most classrooms have their own set of Chromebooks and stuff like that within the class. So it's another thing that they can do if they needed. Prodigy is a great game that kids tend to love, and I believe that it is still math and English. The last time I looked. So they can play either games and you have to answer certain questions to move on to get onto the next level and stuff like that. So it is great. ABC, yeah, has an abundance of resources. Not all school districts will have access to that website though. So you kind of have to check and see what your district has access to, but it has a plethora of activities. And one of my favorite ones is Art Hub for Kids. They have great ways to draw. You can look at something. I know I did once. I was teaching sub in grade 3, and they were doing the life cycle of the animals and stuff like that. So we were looking at butterflies in particular. And there was a drawing on there, and it started off with you had a piece of paper and it was when it was folded, it was a cocoon, and then when you opened it, it was a butterfly. So it was really cool because it just was like something that the kids could do, but then also it was still tied into their curriculum that they were doing and working on at the same time. Another great thing to have on your back pocket is some movement breaks and body breaks or anything like that. Danny Go, Go Noodle have great different resources or have great different movements, especially for little kids, Div 1, maybe grade 4, grade 5. But I find as you get older with the older elementary, they would much rather do the would you rathers. And you can just would you rather anything. And there's candy versions, fast food versions, superhero, anything. So it's just kind of as you walk in the door and you're getting your computer set on, and you're just kind of having all these tabs up in your document. That's what I would have on my computer so that if I needed something really quick, I just had to click on it and then it got the students great moving and doing whatever and occupied while maybe you have to prep something. A lot of time I also will use these movement breaks or body breaks just to prep myself. So if I need to get an activity ready or if I need to transition from one thing to another and I don't want kids just watching me or starting to get chaotic, I'll put one of these on and then it just lessen. They're all busy doing something while I'm in the backgrounds getting things ready for the next activity that we're doing or the next lesson that needs to be prepped. So bring with you a bag of different supplies. You never know what you're going to have access to. You never know what you might need, what a kid might need just to like be able to do some work. So I always had a pencil case with all these different things in it. So I would have extra pens and pencils that I found, especially when you're working in a junior high or high school, and it always seems like they don't have those things to use. So you're like, here you go, you can have it. I would even just pick them up on the floor and throw them in my bag if I ever found some, so that I had extra ones. Any kinds of Sharpies, stuff like that. Kids often sometimes need those. An eraser, a pencil sharpener is another big one. Not all classrooms for some reason have a pencil sharpener. So just, okay, here's something. Sticky notes if you're needing to leave notes or if you're needing to just write something because you need that kid who just needs a body break and you need them to just be out of the classroom. You're like, hey, can you go bring this to the office or something like that? And I always find a whistle is handy, especially if maybe you want to go outside with them, or if you have to teach phys ed, or if you have to have anything, then you just have all that stuff with you. And any barriers you can take down before you get into the classroom, especially when kids don't know you, just makes it so much easier on yourself and the students because you are prepped already and you're not like frantically looking for something. It's just right there with you. You know you have it. You know you can see what you have and what you don't have, or just kind of things. And if you also aren't sure and you need something, ask the students. They are always a great resources. You'll always have a few that will want to help you out and answer any questions you have. And I'll be like, hey, do you have some kind of counters, or do you guys have calculators somewhere, or do you have anything like that? That it just makes it so much easier. One thing I don't have on this list, and I just said, is a calculator. I would have an easy calculator with me, just because if students don't have a calculator with them, especially for math in the higher grades, it also is another obstacle out of your way. Above all, with being a sub, is just be yourself. If you aren't your true authentic self, your students are going to discover that. Things that can help you is arrive early. So you can talk to the teachers that are around you, ask them, like, if I have troubles, could I send a student to you? Ask the staff when you walk in, ask the secretaries, like, where is the lunchroom? Where's the bathroom? Maybe introduce yourself to the principal and vice principal in case you need to know who they are for any problems you might arise. Don't be afraid to set your expectations with the class. If you're firm right off the beginning and don't put up with anything, then you are setting out that precedent for the rest of the class or the rest of the day, and they know what can happen or what your rules are. Be flexible if things don't happen or if something is not working. Be prepared. I can't tell you how many times where I've subbed and there's been no internet, or I have subbed and the computers aren't working, or I have subbed and all of a sudden you were booked to go in the gym and you don't have that space. So just having those things in the back of your mind and this, your kind of create your box of tricks and stuff like that all there is so helpful to have, because if something's not working, or if you are set to do a worksheet and all the kids are really off task and they're really not doing it, just bring them back and focus onto something else. I know I have asked many teachers if they would prefer if a sub were to make a connection with their kids and have a great day versus getting everything done in the sub plans. They would rather that you made sure that you made a connection with the kids and had a great time with them, because then they're willing to have you come back. The kids are understanding of who you are and what you're about and stuff like that. So it just makes it really easier. I'm not saying don't ditch the sub plans completely, but if something happens and it is easier for you to just pivot, then that is what we need to do. Build relationships. Make sure you're walking around. Don't just sit at the desk. I'm always walking around when I am subbing. I am with the kids. I'm talking with them. I even currently sub right now half days because I just work in the afternoons. And anytime I'm in a classroom, I am walking around with the kids, asking them questions. If it was just the weekend, ask a few of them what they did over the weekend. Ask them their favorite game or something like that. Like even when you're doing something simple as attendance, I'll have a question very easy, like, okay, I'm gonna say your name and then tell me what your favorite, I don't know, video game is. And then it's just there because you are showing interest in them. It is making the like barrier just a little bit less to be like, okay, this person is cool and maybe they do want to actually get to know me, versus just being an adult in the building and just like getting a paycheck. Socialize with the students and staff. If you see kids in the hallway, go to the staff room. I know it can be intimidating sometimes, but the more you introduce yourself, the easier it will become and the easier things might be. And then you can also have those people in your back pocket to like, hey, I need help with this or I need that. Or it was great to be in this school. I would love to come back. You've kind of made those connections already to have reoccurring subs days at that school. Set your boundaries with the students, especially like if you are not going to tolerate anything, don't tolerate anything. My rule always too is only one person's allowed at the bathroom at the once. It seems like, especially with older grades, talking like junior high, high school, everybody always has to go kind of thing. So I'll say, Kate, we'll write your name on the board, and when that person comes back, you can go. And I also let the kids that are knowing that when they're leaving, I said, remember, nobody else can leave this classroom until you come back. So you need to come back. So it's just kind of another thing that I like to do to just make sure that everything you're thinking about all the aspects of the day or for the class and stuff like that, so that kids know that you are the adult and you are to be respected, and but you are like still gonna have fun with them and still want to get to know them. There's always that fine line in between both things. That is all the information I have for you right now. I also have another presentation on this website that is called Tips to Being a Remarkable Sub. There is some repeat information in that, but there is also some other information if you are interested in looking in that. If you ever have any questions or anything about subbing or tips and tricks, more things, or if you have a really like hard time with something, don't hesitate to reach out, whether it's to the ATA, to your district, or to myself. I can find the answers to your questions as well. And I hope that you enjoy subbing. I really enjoyed my year. It got me understanding a lot of different aspects of education. You get to see a lot of classrooms, and I took a lot of things from what I wanted and said like, oh, if I ever taught again in a classroom, which I am now, I would like to use this or I would like to use that. And I moved from, like I said, teaching junior high for 15 years, and I am now teaching kindergarten. And I wouldn't have never made that switch had it not been for me subbing and having the opportunity to kind of browse things and see how things work. So subbing really gives you that look to see kind of like, okay, these are the age I like. This is the kind of curriculum I like to teach, the expectations of this grade level and stuff like that. So I just find subbing really benefits you in so many ways to understand what our education system looks like, to understand what different classrooms look like, to understand how different teachers work and stuff like that. And you get to pick all those things that you like, and you kind of get to get the best of the best to create what it is that would work for you. So again, thank you for listening to this presentation. I hope you have a wonderful day.